Do I have to pay property taxes, or will my property taxes change if I inherit a property from my mother? So this is a really great question, especially here in California, most particularly Los Angeles, where we're based, because we know that house pricing is skyrocketing and it's going through the roof. A lot of people can only keep the home that they inherited if the property taxes stay the same, because they can't afford to pay property taxes on a house that's now valued at $2.5 million, right? So let's kind of break this down with an example and see how it plays out. Normally, when you inherit a property, you have to change ownership of that property from the person who passed away to the new owner, whether it's the child, whether it's another loved one. The point is that there's an ownership change. And anytime that there's an ownership change for property tax purposes, it reassesses the value of the property at the tax assessor's office, meaning the property taxes that the person before was paying is going to be very different for the person that's the new owner. So when I buy a property from someone, ownership changes from that old owner to the new owner, and all of a sudden I have to pay property taxes on the value of that property at the time of my purchase. Now with an inheritance, it's a little bit different. If you change ownership because of an inheritance, because someone passed away, again, it's considered a change of ownership. So normally the property taxes are reassessed the same way to the date of death value. So whatever the property was worth at the date of death, that's going to be what the property taxes are based on. However, there's some exclusions and some exemptions that people can apply for. And in California, one of the exemptions that you can apply for is a parent-child or a grandparent-grandchild transfer. So it only works with certain scenarios. You have to qualify under certain regulations, but it is available. The law used to be more favorable before, but as of recent years, it's very streamlined and a little bit more specific than what it used to be, which puts a lot of people at a disadvantage. But let's say mom leaves behind a home and it was being used as the mom's house or primary residence at the time of death. And now all of a sudden, one of the children has inherited the property, the son, and he is afraid of the property taxes changing as of mom's date of death, because mom bought it in the 90s for $100,000. She died in December of 2024. It was worth $1 million, and mom was paying like pennies for property taxes because she was grandfathered into that $100,000 value, right? And so she was paying very little in property taxes. What happens for the son? Now, if the son certifies to the assessor's office that he is going to live at that home as his primary residence, he can apply for what's called a parent-child transfer. By applying for the parent-child exemption, he can actually take the 1990 property tax amount that the mom was paying and continue with that amount, that lower amount. But if he has no intentions of residing at the house and he's planning on renting it out as a rental, if he cannot satisfy that residential requirement, then he will not be able to apply for the parent-child transfer. So same goes the other way around. If mom had multiple properties, they were all rentals, she didn't live in any of them. When those rentals go to the kids, it's all going to be reassessed because we don't have that residential requirement. So a residential requirement for the person who passed away is required and the person who inherited in order to keep the property tax exemption as it is. Now there are some also limitations with how much you can keep. It's not the full amount that mom was paying, you're just going to continue paying. The assessed value exemption is only up to $1 million, and you lose it if you move out. So if the son moves in, he gets it, but then later on he buys another property and moves out, he loses that advantage. It'll get reassessed at that date, but the law is so new, we haven't really seen it in work. We haven't seen it put to use. So I think over the next couple of years, we'll see how it actually plays out, because the assessor's office is still playing around with the effectiveness or putting it to work and actually executing and figuring out how to assess whether someone's moved out or not or whatnot. So that's the basics of property law. So when you inherit an asset, it's a change of ownership. Property taxes automatically will be reassessed. But there are some rules that you can apply under, some laws that protect certain circumstances, and the one that is still intact is the one from a parent to a child, and both parties were using it or are using it as a residence. So if you feel like discussing property taxes a little bit more, don't call our office, call a property tax attorney. We're not tax attorneys here with these smaller taxes. We are an estate planning firm. We specialize in creating trusts and optimizing the taxes that will be incurred by the loved ones when someone passes away. So when we put together a trust, we take into consideration all these different types of taxes that we've discussed in the last several videos. So feel free to contact our office. We'd be happy to talk to you about your particular situation and your real estate portfolio and let you know what could be done to minimize the amount of the bad taxes and maximize the advantage that you have for property taxes and all these other taxes that are still available. So feel free to contact our office. We offer free consultations.